In the quiet hum of rehearsal halls and the glare of bright stage lights, Ploy-Pitcha had always been the center of the universe. With her undeniable poise, her unwavering confidence, and a charm that seemed as natural as breathing, she wasn't just the star of every performance, she was the performance itself. Her energy was a beautiful, unpredictable storm, captivating everyone in its path. Then came Pun. She was the new assistant director, quiet, meticulously precise, and fiercely determined. Pun operated on the belief that true magic was born from discipline, from control. Where Ploy radiated a brilliant chaos, Pun existed in a world of structured order. And that friction, that collision of two opposing forces, it ignited a spark neither of them could possibly contain. Their first meeting was less a meeting and more a clash of titans. Ploy arrived late, as she often did, dripping with a mixture of genuine apology and unapologetic confidence. Pun stood waiting, arms crossed, clipboard clutched like a shield, her eyes as sharp as lightning. "You can't just show up whenever you want," Pun snapped, her voice cutting through the rehearsal hall's quiet anticipation. Ploy, unfazed, simply tilted her head, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. "Then tell me when you want me to," she replied. That single line, half a joke, half a direct challenge, set the rhythm for everything that followed. It became their dance. Pun would command, Ploy would test the limits of that command. And somewhere between the sharp-tongued arguments and the stolen, lingering glances, between Pun's stern reminders and Ploy's teasing laughter, the very air between them began to shift. The days blurred into a marathon of late nights. Rehearsals stretched long past their scheduled end times, fueled by coffee and a shared unspoken dedication. From behind her clipboard, Pun watched. She watched as Ploy threw herself into every scene, every line, every single moment on that stage. And Pun slowly realized, Ploy wasn't just performing for the show anymore. She was performing for her. In turn, Ploy saw the subtle changes in Pun. She saw the way Punny's focused gaze would soften for just a fraction of a second when she thought no one was looking, a crack in the carefully constructed wall of professionalism. One night, long after the rest of the cast and crew had packed up and gone home, Ploy stayed behind. She needed to run a final scene one more time, the confession, the climactic kiss. And as if tethered by an invisible string, Pun lingered too, her notebook clutched tightly in her hands, pretending she had notes to review, lights to check. Ploy, finishing her line to an empty stage, finally turned to her. "You always stay late to watch me, Pun." Pun froze, caught. "It's my job," she said, her voice a little too quick, a little too defensive. Ploy took a slow step closer, her presence filling the space between them. "No," she whispered, her voice low and intimate. "It's something else." Their eyes met across the dimly lit stage, command and surrender, fire and ice, all swirling in one intense, silent conversation. Pun instinctively tried to step back, to re-establish the distance she so desperately needed, but Ploy reached out. Her fingers brushed against Pun's wrist, and a jolt of pure electricity shot through them both. It was undeniable. "You think you control everything," Ploy said softly, her voice barely a breath. "But you can't control this." Pun's breath hitched in her throat. Her carefully guarded composure began to crumble. The clipboard, her symbol of authority and order, slipped from her grasp and clattered loudly onto the wooden floor. In the deafening silence that followed that sound, their heartbeats seemed to thunder in their ears, loud and frantic. Ploy leaned in, closing the distance until she was just close enough to taste the hesitation on Pun's lips, to feel the warmth of her uncertain breath. It was Pun who broke the silence, her voice trembling but laced with a surprising strength. "Then command me." Ploy's eyes widened in genuine surprise. She hadn't expected that. Not from Pun, the woman who gave the orders, who never bent, who lived by the rules. Yet here she was, in this quiet, unguarded moment, surrendering completely. And so, Ploy did. Her hands came up to gently cup Pun's face, her thumbs tracing the line of her jaw. The kiss that followed was slow at first, deliberate, searching, a question asked and answered in the same moment. Then, it broke open, transforming into something real and raw and desperate. All of Pun's discipline, her walls, her control, it all dissolved in that one single touch. She melted into the kiss, her hands finding their way to Ploy's waist, pulling her closer. For that moment, their world vanished. There was no stage, no script, no tomorrow. It was just two souls finally finding their rhythm in an act of beautiful rebellion. When they finally pulled apart, breathless and dazed, Pun's eyes were softer and more vulnerable than Ploy had ever seen them. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered, the words lacking any real conviction. Ploy's signature grin returned, though her voice now carried a new, fragile quality. "But you wanted me to." Pun looked away, fighting a smile that was already winning. "You're impossible," she murmured. "And you love control," Ploy teased, her fingers gently tracing Pun's cheek. "Maybe that's why you need someone who doesn't follow orders." After that night, everything changed, yet on the surface, nothing did. Their rehearsals became charged with an unspoken electricity. A brush of hands while passing a prop, a lingering look held a second too long across the room. Their secret was a living, breathing thing, always hidden just beneath the surface, just out of sight. The memory of that kiss haunted them both, a silent command that neither could ignore, echoing in every interaction. Finally, the night of the final performance arrived. The theater was packed, a low hum of anticipation filling the air. As they stood together on stage for the final scene, the lights dimmed and the crowd hushed. The script called for a confession of love, a staged embrace. But this time, Ploy didn't follow the script. She turned to Pun, who was standing just off stage, her eyes shining under the bright lights, and she whispered not as her character, but as herself, for only Pun to hear, "I don't just act for you anymore." A collective gasp rippled through the audience as Ploy leaned in, closing the space between her and her co-star once again. But her eyes were locked on Pun. This kiss wasn't a performance. It was the truth. It was weeks of tension, of arguments, of stolen glances, all melting away under the heat of the spotlight. When the curtain finally fell, the theater exploded with thunderous applause. Pun stood there, breathless, a genuine, unguarded smile spreading across her face. As the stage lights began to fade to black, Ploy found her in the wings and whispered, "Still think you're in control?" Pun just laughed, her voice soft and full of a newfound certainty. "Not when it comes to you."